Mission misunderstood. From the beginning of human history, mankind has always longed for the ideal society, and this desire for the ideal world produced the dream of a messianic vision in many ancient cultures. That is the belief that somewhere in the future someone would come along and give the answers to all of our problems and relieve us from all suffering and establishing the ideal world. A world of love, peace, joy and harmony, free from pain, hatred, fear, poverty, oppression and all other social problems. God saw this need for a Messiah for all mankind and thus devised a divine strategy known as the promise, which he made to a man named Abraham. Now, a careful study of the promise of the Messiah shows that the promise was made to the nations through Abraham, who wasn't even Jewish. And it's important to note that this promise was made to Abraham about 182 years before Israel was established as a people. For in Genesis chapter 12 and verse 3, God tells Abraham, "And all peoples on earth will be blessed through you." It was Abraham's grandson Jacob, or Israel, who was chosen by God to be the line for the seed of the Messiah King. And this messianic promise was the material for the introduction of the Old Testament prophets, who were primarily raised up to continually proclaim this promise of the coming messianic king who would come and restore God's kingdom on earth. And the Israelites were reminded of this promise from generation to generation, that the Messiah king would come and through him all nations of the earth would be blessed. However, they as a people misunderstood the promise and made themselves the object of the promise rather than the channel. For Isaiah chapter 42 and verse 6 and Psalm chapter 96 verse 3 show God's desire for Israel to proclaim his kingdom to the nations. For he tells them, "I will keep you and will make you to be a covenant for the people and a light for the Gentiles. Declare his glory among the nations, his marvelous deeds among all peoples." God promised Abraham that the Messiah would come through his seed to redeem the world, but the Israelites used the choice of their line as a distinguishing factor to separate themselves from the very people they were to serve, that is, the rest of the world. So in other words, the Hebrews became like a messenger who has been given the responsibility to deliver a very precious item from A to B. And instead of delivering that precious item, the messenger then starts believing and deluding himself that the item now belongs to him, just because he has been given the privilege and responsibility of carrying and delivering the item, with the result being that B doesn't get the item, so inevitably the item is taken from him and given to someone else who will deliver the item. Thus they developed a self-centered religion with added unscriptural traditions and laws that condemned the world to which they were appointed to deliver the Redeemer, instead of God's intention of a kingdom of heaven on earth. So Israel became the masters of misinformation. And it is here where the religion of Judaism was born, causing the development of other religions, and it continues to feed on the remnant of Judaism today. Thus, God had no choice but to give the responsibility of proclaiming his kingdom to Gentiles, in a similar way that God had to remove the kingdom from King Saul and give it to David. Therefore I tell you that the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to a people who will produce its fruit.